Hi, so this episode's topic, we're going to talk about our sometimes strong feelings about Grant Morrison. There's not a consensus here, but John has the more moderate opinion. Do you want to start it off?
Okay, I think that Grant Morrison has done some great work on Arkham Asylum, The Invisibles, more recently, All-Star Superman. He has a knack for making his characters go through a lot of crazy Silver Age stuff. I don't think there's anything particularly wrong with that, though. He is open to criticism on something that I didn't particularly like, which is Final Crisis, which is where
Got in there my argument!
Sim will...
That's my two-word anti-Morrison argument.
What's wrong with Final Crisis? I don't like it, but
what's
let's
right
talk about
Final Crisis? It ignores all of the established plot lines from the first two crises. It just makes stuff up. It gets rid of half of the main characters by turning them into weird mutant creatures. It brings in these secondary characters that nobody really gives a crap about. Black Lightning, wah! And it just, it's just awkward, bad. My main issue with Morrison's writing across the board is that his dialogue is always overramped. It never seems like something anyone would actually say.
He is pretentious, but his characters sometimes are knowingly pretentious, which is interesting in itself.
It can work in some aspects. I mean, I haven't read his DC work, but I've read his work on the X-Men in the early noughties, and I thought he did some stuff good. I mean, the pretentious writing was really good when you're writing Emma Frost, because she's being so over the top and artifice, but then... And I thought some of the stuff he did with the mutant subculture was interesting. But then my main issue with Morrison is Planet X. Because Morrison just basically thought, say, there's this character Magneto, and he's been written so layered for a couple of decades, and I don't like that. So how about, let me tell you my feelings on Magneto. So how about we have him destroy New York, which, okay, it's not so bad. Everyone has done it at least once. But then, let's just have the character who's the most prominent Jewish superpowered character in Marvel actually start putting the humans into gas chambers.
Yeah.
The Jewish character who's a Holocaust survivor.
So what's that? He's ignoring previously established continuity because of his own ego? Oh, where have I heard that before?
Okay, so, because I haven't read this, you're going to tell me a bit more about it. Was there any justification for him doing this? There must have been some justification.
No, basically, Magneto was pretending to be this character who was, like, teaching at the school, and then he was like, I'm Magneto, mwahaha. And then he just started sticking humans in ovens, and then he killed Jean Grey.
Jean Grey's dead?
Yeah, no.
Spoilers!
Is she dead? Or is she come back? Has she come back?
I have never been as glad when something got retconned, because then Claremont came back and he was like, fuck you. And he just did Excalibur, which was basically Xavier and Magneto going like, I forgive you everything. But, you know, I normally don't like retcons, but, you know, let's just ignore that part. Let's just erase the whole Morrison thing from Marvel continuity.
So it's what he did to your favourite characters that made him a bad writer or bad for that book? Because I think...
He was bad for that book and
he
a bad writer.
He was bad for that book. Alright, okay. Does that make him a bad writer overall?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're not in any way biased here, Sophia?
No.
Well, no, I mean, look, okay.
I'm right.
I like Batman, but I don't love Batman. I think he's one of the most more entertaining DC characters, and I will buy Batman books more than any others. But if we like Batman R.I.P.
Oh God, no! This is a bad mark on your record, Morrison. If you're watching this, this is where you almost lost me.
The best way to appreciate how bad it is to read it next to Hush, because there's differences, but they're essentially the same friend betrays friend kind of Batman comes unstuck with love interest kind of story, and it's just bad.
Do you think he tries too hard? Because whenever I don't like what he's doing, I think he's trying to say, "Look at me, I'm really special because I've done this."
Look at me, I'm edgy.
Warped thing.
We're down to the nooks of the matter, really. I think Grant Morrison is a character himself. He's created this rock star image, this king of the geeks or whatever he wants to be, persona. And if you're pretending in your real life, how are you supposed to create believable personalities on the page?
Well, then you can be actually batshit like Frank Miller.
I think you've got a valid point regarding the persona thing. He did turn it on its head whether he was conscious of it or not in the Invisibles, which I think you should check out.
I think
King Mob is him.
I am
He's
willing.
I am of Morrison.
For all I dislike Grant Morrison, I am trying to, educate myself on the reasons I dislike Grant Morrison. I've just read All Star Superman, and I liked the artwork. I liked the colorization of it. I thought it was a really interesting way that they took what was the kind of the classic Superman into a new direction. But I think you have to really like Superman and the classic stories to get the most out of it. I never thought it went anywhere. There was never any peril. The emotional connection wasn't there.
Time out, Hulk Hogan. You're slamming it down and everything.
Well,
but look, you haven't read the whole thing yet.
Yeah, I have. I finished it today.
You didn't tell me that.
Oh, yeah,
This is news.
I finished it today, and
you didn't like it.
I didn't. It was okay. It wasn't as bad as Final Crisis.
You can't rate it like that. It's like saying
sitting on uncomfortably on something
that's
isn't
just
as bad
like
as
saying
Final
bad
Crisis.
things.
But yeah, I just
could you give it a mark out of 5?
Out of 5,
yeah.
I'd give it a 3. It didn't make me want to claw my eyes out. It didn't make me want to jump for joy.
I think
I feel your pain.
In terms of writing, I think you do have to keep in mind when you're taking an established character. Yes, every comic book, they tend to be written like a mad round robin going on for decades, and everybody brings their own thing into it, and sometimes you're just like, what the? But you do have to respect to a certain extent what came before, not necessarily follow in the same direction, but bear in mind what happened before. So when you're just going like, woo, I'm Grant Morrison, I'm just going to do my own thing that I do over and over in every book I take. It's just, you're not a good writer for comics. Maybe he should do an original comic where he just does everyone is edgy and pretentious.
He has done Invisibles, but you're right, Nixon. That is his niche, though. He likes to take over a property and then totally warp it. And that works for him in Arkham Asylum. It is the best or the biggest selling...
Again, I hold my hands. I've never read
graphic
that one.
novel. Even over Watchmen and... what's the other big one? Dark Knight Returns. So that's something I found out using Wikipedia, which can be trusted.
Of course.
At certain times, and certain subjects. Can be trusted.
He is just... He got where he got because of things like Invisibles and things like that. So, but it's one of those things where I feel like he's so big and he's so well thought of. I don't know whether he's well thought of because of what he writes or well thought of because you're supposed to like Grant Morrison. And I have to wonder about the oversight of his work. I mean, how much editing goes into a Morrison book?
Editing?
Oh, I don't think there is much editing. No, there is no editing.
Whereas most...
That's true for things like Final Crisis. He needs that because there's so many characters. There's so many characters that you literally stop caring about who they are. You're just trying to get to the end of the book.
He did that in his run on X-Men too. He introduced a bunch of characters with really weird superpowers. So most of them died or got forgotten in the Marvel Meat Machine sense.
Though do check out Super Gods if you haven't read it already. It's his treatise on what superheroes mean to us in the modern world. And how, in various archetypal ways, Batman and Superman have always been there. Just DC have found a way of exposing it.
Are you getting some kind of royalty from Morrison?
No.
He's getting something else from Morrison.
No, I'm not. I'm not paid to wear this. I'm not. What are you saying? This is not a children's show, so I can just say it. I'm not giving Grant Morrison head for £4,000 a week in Soho in his disused flat.
That's very specific for your
That is very
God
specific.
damn it. Anyway.
And on that note...
No, there's other notes we can hit. This is a musical.
Yeah,
and
you can
there's
find
other
these
things.
other
That's just
videos
act
on
two.
the adult tube.
Yeah, I think
It's not me, mother. Honestly,
Grant Morrison
it's not me.
is a bit Marmite. He's a bit, you either love him or you hate him. And as much as I want to appreciate, because I don't want to hate anything, I'm not one of these guys where it's just like, no, I will hate it on principle. That's why I'm reading Morrison books. But
You don't have to hate it on principle. You can hate it because of what it is.
Yeah.
And on that note, even though I am starting with Morrison, we shall call it a day, night, evening, wherever you are. Click on the link to see more of what we do. Subscribe. Press like this way, not that way. And we'll see you either on Versus or on this show at the time.
See you next time.
See you.